they put those in my bra, and like I was saying, the scene is very physical. I'm being thrown down onto a mattress, and then when they call it cut, this sweet guy, crew member, comes over and he's like, "Hey, I think this is yours."
Hello, and welcome to another episode of I Don't Know What We're Talking About. This is the podcast where we talk to actors about anything, everything. They don't know, I don't know. It's all a bit of improv, it's all a bit of winging it, and we just see where the conversation goes. Today I am joined by the lovely MC Huff. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Very good. Now, before we start and we reveal one of the topics you've sent, the way this podcast works is we've been emailing a bit back and forward, locking in a time and a date and dealing with time zones and getting your topic sorted. And you have sent me a list of 5 very unique, very different, very cool topics today. And the first question I always like to ask is, because sometimes we record a little bit after we've had all of our emails back and forward, do you remember the 5 topics that you sent me?
Ooh, not verbatim, but general topically, yes.
Brilliant. Because the only context you ever get given is what are 5 things that you could talk about comfortably for 45 minutes to an hour? And that's all the context you get given for this podcast. So then we jump straight into it. Now, there were a couple of topics that you sent, and I was like really torn between which ones we were going to pick today. So I've got one, and we might start there. And if we end up getting a little sidetracked, that's what this podcast is all about. So it's fine. We'll just get a little.
I'm here for the journey. Let's go.
Cool. So the topic I picked was turning my grandfather's story idea into a narrative feature film.
Very special one to pick. Thank you. So a little bit of background for just viewers and for you. I grew up in Austin, Texas, and I moved out to Los Angeles about 7.5 years ago, pursuing acting. But when I was in Austin, I was very much raised by my grandparents. I have parents, but my grandparents are definitely like a second set of parents to me. And my grandfather had Lewy body dementia, which the most famous cases are Robin Williams, Ted Turner, both of them had it. But Alzheimer's is the one that gets all the flashy attention. But Lewy body dementia is the second most common type of dementia. And when I was in high school, that's when my grandfather was really in the throes of his diagnosis and him declining. And he used to say to me, Marie Claire, I go by MC, but Marie Claire, I do not want to live without my mind. And that is a sentiment that a lot of people feel when it comes to dementia. But it was very hard for me to hear. I'm like, you're my grandfather. You mean the world to me. I don't want you to go anywhere. What are you talking about? But I remember him saying that to me, and I had this petrifying fear of death, as most people in the world do. We avoid it at all costs. I think we live in like a death phobic society. And my grandfather's death actually inspired me to become a hospice volunteer and dive deep into the world of end of life autonomy, what that means. And so as I moved out to LA, to pursue acting, and I had already had a shot of film that was premiering out here, I was, doing all the auditions and going out, and then scripts were coming across my desk that I wasn't that excited about. And I'm like, wait, this movie's getting made? Why aren't my stories that I know would resonate with so many people out there getting made? And that's about when COVID hit. So then, what do? We're stuck inside. And I just started writing and writing. And it was very cathartic and emotional and therapeutic to write these stories about my grandfather and I and our close relationship we had and his experience with dementia. And so, yeah, my journey shifted a bit from actress to writer, director. While I'm still very much an actress, I've just added these other elements of my storytelling to my toolbox. And yeah, so right now we just shot the proof of concept and we're going out to festivals now. We're having our world premiere in 3 weeks, actually, in LA for the short film, which is the proof of concept for the full feature. But yes, the whole story is all about my grandfather and me and what it means to live a good life and to die a good death.
Wow, that's fantastic. So one of the other, you said so many things there that resonated, because one of the other topics that you sent on your list was being in a death phobic society, and years that you'd spent working as in the space of around hospice and end of life care and all that kind of thing. So before we really dig into that and your experience with that, obviously all of this was brought about because of the relationship that you had with your grandfather. So I guess I
Mhm.
want to ask some more questions around that then. What was like, I don't know, the big spark that made you go, actually, you know what, I could make a story about him? Like, obviously, you sort of touched on it, that,
Mhm.
you know, you were seeing all these other scripts come across your desk and you were like, this isn't, I can't believe this is getting made. I have a bigger story to tell. Was that kind of just seeing all these scripts come through? Was that kind of the point that you were like, actually, no, I could make something more real about my own experience and my own grandfather? Or was that kind of an idea that you'd had for years?
I would say a little bit of both. I mean, funny enough, I ended up going to school for biology. I was a University of Texas biology major, and I actually studied at University of Sydney. So hey, some Australia there. Yeah, I love Sydney. I would move back to Australia in a heartbeat. But well, I digress. My childhood, though, when I was 8, 9, 10 years old, I was writing movie scripts, which is just bizarre to me because it's clearly such a deep calling, and then I strayed from that, going deep into science, and then I've sort of come full circle back to it. But yeah, I think I always knew that I had this ability and desire to put stories into a form that could be turned into a film. And so that was always kind of in the back of my mind. But yeah, I think the confidence to really take that to the next level was seeing these films that were getting millions of dollars thrown at them to make. And I'm like, I can do better.
That's right. That's right. So you've had like such a pivot of direction. Like if you've gone from studying at a university, a college level, science, and then obviously as a kid you mentioned you were
Mhm.
always into script writing and creating stories and being a storyteller, I suppose, in that way. Um, but we've connected through your most recent work as an actress. So how did that
Yeah.
kind of all of those pivots, how did that sort of come about? What made you change your mind and I guess step back from science and move towards acting?
Yeah, I've always thought of myself a bit as a chameleon. A lot of people in this world have their hobby, and that is their thing, and that's their identity. And I do think that that's beautiful. But for me, I just love so many different things, and I'm so interested in things. And science still very much is a part of my life. My husband and I had a medical education company the past few years, and so I definitely love to weave that in wherever I can. But yeah, my desire to study biology in university was purely out of I love knowing how things work and why our bodies work the way they do, and everything about that. And I really was appreciative of my parents for telling me to just go after whatever I wanted. It's not like I had parents who said, you need to go, even though you want to storytell, or even though you want to be an actress, you need to get a biology degree. Like, it wasn't that way at all. In fact, my dad was the one who was like, just go study art, or philosophy, have fun. Like, and here I was working in research labs at UT. Like, but I do think that it was actually the research labs themselves that made me realize, oof, I don't know if this is where I'm meant to be long term, because it is very isolating and sterile in these cold research labs. You're pipetting, for hours on end. And yeah, I had that deep calling that was always there. I mean, I didn't go away from acting even in college. In fact, like the film that brought me out to LA was a movie I shot in Texas when I was in college. So I still kept that, I still kept it in the back, even though, my studies were my priority. So yeah, it's just been kind of a meld and a wave my whole life of like push and pull of different levels of my art and my science and kind of making me who I am.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful, and it's really interesting to hear the journey and the process that you've had through that, because I feel like when we hear science, we think, yeah, cold, sterile laboratory research, like somebody who's highly intelligent and able to work in that space. But it's also a very, I think, rigid and cold, and that's the kind of the thoughts that we have around
Mhm.
that. And then to, I don't know, juxtapose that with your creative storytelling, acting, in this complete, creative space, we really think that those two don't fit together, but they're actually both, sounds like, important, integral parts of your life. And the way you described it is that you just have tied it all together and you just flow between it is really impressive and very amazing that you can kind of work in both those spaces, which I suppose would be kind of opposite.
Yeah, but it's interesting. Like my upcoming film, The Golden Trail, the proof of concept is called One Final Ride, but the full film is The Golden Trail, and because it's about my grandfather's experience with dementia, and because I know 57 million people worldwide are living with dementia, it is very important for me to get some of these things very accurate. And so that is something that I've been very grateful for in my science background, is making sure I'm telling these stories with justice, because my hope is when people sit in the theater or people are sitting at home watching it on their TV, that they can go, yep, she got that right. She got that right. I've experienced that. My grandfather, my parent, or this. And because that is why I am a storyteller to my core. It's why I will be for the rest of my life, because I believe stories and films can change the world. And while that may sound grand, I truly think that we are living in a very divisive society right now. And people are very like black and white. We don't like want to hear anyone's opinions. We have our own, especially in the US with our politics. It can be like, no one wants to listen to each other. And with movies, you have this opportunity for everyone to be in this dark, quiet room, take in information where you don't feel like someone's yelling it at you. And then you have your own time to reflect on it. And it may actually change the way you think, which there's very few opportunities in this world where you can get information, into someone. So, yeah.
That's I've never thought about it like that before, but I think you're absolutely right. Like I obviously believe in the power of theater and cinema and that experience of going to the movies and watching a film and then walking away from that going, whoa, and whatever that feeling was, whether or not you were horrified and it was like, wow, I'm never going to sleep again, or whether or not it was one of those movies that have like real impact on you and it changes the way you think about something. Like you can always have some kind of emotional release or emotional impact from watching a good film. And I think that like we all know that and we all could agree on that, but I think you've taken it like even a step further to go, not only is this going to make you feel something, and the fact that you've said you want to do it justice and use all your research and your personal understanding of the topic to make it as accurate as possible. So you've kind of taken it a step further. Not only are you going to feel something and have that kind of emotional connection to watching something, but you're going to learn something about it too. It might make you reassess something or think deeper about something, or you would be challenged. And I love that you even mentioned that it's not in a way that it's yelling at your face. Like it's not somebody going, it's my point of view, you need to hear it and accept it, but rather you put it in a framework of a film. This is very cool. This is very exciting.
This is why I still go at this crazy business that is bizarre to go through. I mean, I don't wish this business in terms of like acting, writing, directing, producing this whole world of entertainment unless it's your true calling, because it is not an easy career path. And you have to want to do it or need to do it, I should say, not even want to do it. You like have to have this deep need, or else go do something else, like, for your own sanity. Because it's so crazy.
No, I think you're right. Out of all of the actors that we've had on this podcast and we've been fortunate enough to interview, I think every single person I have ever interviewed and had a chat to in this kind of space have all said elements quite similar to that. That it's not you don't go into acting or in the creative industry because you're looking for a sustainable income. You don't go into acting.
Yeah.
You don't enter this kind of job space or this kind of sphere unless you have a deep want or need to to create, to be, to tell stories. Otherwise it really is just that kind of job that you're insane. Like you're really insane.
Exactly. I'm glad I'm not the first to have said it.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely, you won't be the last. Absolutely not.
No, no.
Right, let's spin back to your grandfather now. So, one of the other topics that
Yeah.
you sent in your list of five, I think you've kind of already briefly touched on as well. You mentioned hospice care. So, obviously, with your own personal journey, if you're happy to share about this, when your grandfather was diagnosed or began to show traits of dementia and things like that, did you like, did you end up working in the hospice space with other people, or did you become a carer just for your grandfather, or like how involved in that journey were you?
Yeah, so what actually happened with my grandfather is he aspirated on what they think he aspirated on a piece of food one night. And so he ended up getting rushed to the hospital. And then my grandfather, his last 3 months, I think it was 3 months of his life, he was in ICU of the hospital. So not the ending he wanted, like it just strung along, strung along. And at that time, I was still very much in denial. And because I remember he had his birthday when we were in the hospital, and I was like, still planning. I was like, we're going to have a big birthday party when you get out. And I was like planning a party. And I do think there's a beautiful grace in denial. I actually did a short film called Breakfast with Jenny that's online. And I wrote and directed it. My husband starred in it. And the whole thing is about how there is a grace in denial because we need that sometimes because you can only let in so much and your body will only let in as much as you can handle at the time. So I don't think I was emotionally capable to realize that my grandfather was failing and failing and failing. But I did spend, I mean, I was in high school, I was a senior in high school, and I spent every morning before high school, I'd run over there and spend time with him. Most lunch times, I'd run over to the hospital. And after I was done with whatever sport I was doing that day, I was at the hospital. So, I mean, I was there every single day singing songs to him, playing music, trying to give little, like, he loved chocolate, so I would put chocolate on a Q-tip, like on his lip barely, even though he was out, just so he could like taste it. So I was there for him in that capacity, but I still was like super fear of death. Never thought it was going to happen to him. I wasn't prepared for it. Then he ended up dying 1 week before I started university in Austin, and which kind of rocked my world. But then I had to also just suppress it and push it down because I had to go and start freshman year. And then I was sophomore year of college and I'm in one of my pre-med classes. And this woman comes in to talk about hospice. And she was like, if anyone wants to volunteer for hospice, it'll look good on med school and, blah, 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 we could use you guys. And I thought, oh my God, this is the most terrifying thing you could ever tell me in the world. And so I was like, you know what I need to do? I need to run towards it. So I ran down there and I was like, all right, I put my name down, give her my email. The next week I was doing training already. And then I was like, dove in and working in hospice and being at the bedside of people who are taking their last breaths, or maybe they're in their last weeks or months. You realize, whoa, I've always made this about me. This isn't about me at all. And I would sure hope no one would be terrified to sit next to me when I'm dying. This is something we're all going to experience. And I went from this, like, oh my God, I don't want to think about death, talk about it, la, 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 to wow, this is a part of life that we're all going to experience. And I want to be there for those people. And then it made my fear of death seem pretty trivial when you're looking death in the eye in that way. And so it was about my sophomore year of college. I started doing the volunteering with hospice, and then I've done that ever since. So that's been like 11 years or something. And I've done that here in Los Angeles. And the way that it works is I'm assigned one patient until they die. And then I'm given another patient. So I get really close with these people who I like carry in my heart, which is really special.
I think oh man, I don't even know you've touched on so many important things. You've touched on so many important things, and this is such an important conversation to be having. And I hope that it's heard well. And like, thank you so much for sharing not only your personal journey, because like, of course, that's hard. It carries emotional weight to it, but also the emotional weight that you've taken on in that kind of work. Because, like you said, you carry them in your heart. These people that you've supported with and you've been there for until their end, and you carry that with you for the rest of your life now. In that you were there
Yeah.
with them till the end of theirs, and it's just such a beautiful thing. And there's so much more in this conversation that we could definitely talk about. And we don't have time in this podcast to dig into all of it. And there is no way that we could possibly do this entire topic justice. But we can do our best and have these important conversations, I think. So, firstly, thank you for sharing, because that's huge and amazing and something so deeply personal. So, thank you. Secondly, the other thing that I was thinking of when you were talking about that is I think you'd be hard pressed to find somebody who has not had any impact from dementia. As in, they don't know,
Yes.
their own grandparent or their auntie or their cousin or or somebody who's had some connection to somebody, a friend's grandparent. So the friends that you were with at school would have known that oh, she's got to go to visit her granddad. She's off to the hospital. That's what she's doing. So even if they didn't have anybody in their first knit family group, they know somebody who knows somebody. So it would be nearly impossible to find somebody who hasn't been affected by dementia or Alzheimer's in one way or another in old age when we reach that point. So I think, and the other thing you've mentioned, which is also really important, which I'm going to highlight again, the death phobia society that we live in that it's difficult for us to think about our lives ending. It's difficult and scary for us to be able to begin to process that one day we won't be here. And most people want to turn away and shy away from that fact because it is a big and scary and difficult thing. So for you to then be able to go, actually, you know what, I'm going to run towards that. I'm going to go put my name on that sign-on sheet. I'm going to go do that. I'm going to go jump in for that is like shows how amazing of a person you are being able to defy what the world would say about death. And it's something we should avoid. That you were like, you know what, I'm going to run to that sign-on sheet. I just absolutely.
I do that to everything. I had like a deathly fear of sharks. And I was like, you know what? I need to become a scuba diver because I'm so scared of sharks. So, yeah, I do that in all parts of my life.
Oh, I love it. Oh, it's fantastic. It's brilliant. Um, Before we stop, because we're about halfway through our time together and we'll play a game and then the conversation is going to move on. But before we do move on from this really important topic, is there anything else you wanted to say about your grandfather, this movie that's coming out, any other information about this topic? Like if people want to do more research into it or they have family that they're impacted by this personally or they've we've tugged on a string at some point during this conversation for somebody. Where can they find more information about your movie that's coming out or any other places to
Yeah,
check it out?
absolutely. So, the Golden Trail Project, that is the website, the Instagram handle, YouTube, TikTok, any socials, you'll find it at the Golden Trail Project. And then that would be thegoldentrailproject.com for the film website. And the trailer is already out, so everybody can go see that. That dropped a couple weeks ago. We're going to have the world premiere in 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks in Los Angeles. So everyone, anyone can go if you can still get a ticket before it sells out. But we're also going to be doing the festival run. And then also the biggest thing is just keeping the education going with this and the social channels, like the Instagram, YouTube, all of those things I use as platforms for education on death and dementia, anything end of life and grief. And so that's a great spot if you're just like wanting to learn more or feel like you're not alone, or if you're listening to this and you're terrified of death, hey, you're not alone. I was too, but these videos I make help make it a little more palatable, like bite-sized amounts to help you get through that journey. And yeah, we're also looking, in order to make the full feature film, we do need money. So if anyone wants to invest or give tax deductible donations, you can find out all that on the website as well.
Beautiful. We will put some links in our description and on our socials as well, so you can go check out all MC Huff's work and her film. It will be fantastic, I am sure. Cool. Well, this feels like a good time to play a game. This feels like a great time.
Let's play a game.
I actually gave you like a little bit of warning before we hit record what this game was going to be, so I'm really just throwing you in the deep end. This is a game we play on this podcast called This or That, and the way it works.
Okay.
I'm going to give you two different things, this or that, and you just have to tell me which one you would choose and why.
Love. All right.
The first one for you. On a plane, would you have the window seat or the aisle seat?
Window. I want to see the view. I love looking out the window.
My issue with that, and my first thing is like, oh, but what if I need to get out? What if I need to change?
See, so here's what my husband and I do. I take the window, he'll book the aisle, we'll keep the center open and hope nobody books the center. And then we kind of have the best of both worlds, because then if I need to get out to use the restroom, I'm just like, hey, get up. It's my husband. I don't need to awkwardly wake someone up or scooch around them. So to answer your question, I actually kind of utilize both then.
That's great.
I'm like already breaking the rules on question number one.
Okay, all right. Well, let's see if you can stick one for question number two.
Yeah.
Winter or summer?
Winter or summer, you said?
Yeah.
Summer. I love skiing, so there's nothing better than like, oh, skiing the Swiss Alps in the winter, and oh, this is incredible. But I'm a beach girl. Give me a bikini, just jumping around on an island, swimming, snorkeling, by far, any day, every day.
Oh, well, you've
Beach,
definitely got to
summer.
come back to Australia then. I mean, beaches galore here, so
I,
you've got to.
I lived in Bondi Junction, so I would walk down to Bondi every day. It was amazing.
That is a beautiful spot. That is okay. That is the tourist go to spot. That is the tourist destination spot. Is Bondi? Like, if you're going to go to Sydney and you're going to go to the beach, you got to go to Bondi. However, there are so many other like hidden gems all around Sydney, all up and down the New South Wales coast, even further up into Queensland. Like, there's so many good spots for the beach. So you'll just have to come back.
Yeah, absolutely. Twist my arm. Fine, pull my arm. Yeah.
Okay, third and final question for you: movies at home or movies at the cinema? Which is funny because we kind of
Oh,
touched on that.
easy
Yeah.
movies at the cinema. I'm a TV girly when I'm at home. I don't know why. I think I just feel like if I'm later at night, I'm like, oh, a movie's too much of a commitment, even though I may end up binging 4 hours of TV. So that the logic does not clock out. But my husband and I, we go to the actual movie theater, to the cinema, like at least twice a week. We go a lot because it is our business, but also we have. I don't get money from this, but we have AMC A list, and everyone should have it. It's amazing. You get unlimited movies for like $25 a month. So we pay the subscription, and we can go to the theater. Like you can go up to 4 times a week.
Okay, cool. Because I'm Australian here, so I'm trying to. I'm don't know what that means.
It's Yeah, AMC is our a big movie theater chain here. That's all. Yeah,
Sweet, and
a
you
big cinema brand across the country.
oh cool, which is why you can go so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, otherwise that would get expensive every time. But when you pay a monthly subscription, in your mind you're like it's free. Because you're not thinking about it.
I don't know if they do that here, but if they don't, they should because I feel like that would be something I would do. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. That would be really cool.
Because
Anyway,
there's nothing better than getting popcorn at the theater and just like not having your phone as a distraction because that's at home. I'm like, you look at your phone, you look at your computer.
and I think you also touched on something which is really true as well. I feel like I watch way more TV shows at home because I have that thing like, oh, I can't watch a movie now, it's too late. Like if I start a movie now, like I can't, like I'm not gonna finish a movie. But then I'll watch like 4 episodes of a show and there goes my evening. Like I'm like, but the logic doesn't logic.
You
I really have this argument in my brain all the time, and I've only just thought about this because you've said it. But you're 100% right. I think, oh, I can't do a movie because I need like you've got to build up for a movie. Like you've got to know like a few
Yeah.
hours in advance. I'm gonna watch a movie tonight, and you have to be like mentally
Yeah.
prepared that you're gonna watch a movie. But I can just put a TV show on and I'll be fine.
See, I love that I'm not the only one who feels this way. Thank you. I feel seen.
Absolutely not. Let us know in the comments if you're the kind of person who's like, no, 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 I need to be mentally prepared for a movie, or if you can just go in and binge watch a TV show. But it ends up being more time. Like it really makes no sense.
It truly, yeah. I don't understand, yeah, why my brain works that way, but clearly I'm not alone.
No, we can't be the only ones either. I'm sure if we're on different
No.
sides of the world and we've both realised that we do this, that there's got to be other people out there who struggle.
Gemma, you and I aren't the only two. We're
With
not sure. I hope not.
Beautiful. Well, thanks so much for playing our game. That's this or that. That's how it works. Just fun, beautiful. Now, if I don't touch on this topic and we don't have this conversation, people will be coming for me in the comments. So we have to ask if you recognize MC Huff and you're a follower of my podcast and you go, gee, she looks familiar. I'm sure I've seen her in something. You may recognize her from the first episode of season 19 of none other than Criminal Minds. So let's start there. How did you get the audition for Criminal Minds? How did that process start for you?
Yeah, the way most actors, it starts, my agent and manager got the audition for me, and I had auditioned for that film, and it actually all happened. I mean, for Criminal Minds, it all happened very quickly. I'm usually I do a lot of film rather than television, and in film, especially if you're going in for the lead of a film, you usually have like a month before shooting because you're really getting in the world of it. You have a full film to prepare for script wise. But TV, I auditioned for Criminal Minds. I got the audition. I had to submit it that very next day. I had to tape it. And then I think it was the following day that I found out I got the part. And then the following day after that, I was already doing my fitting for the costuming and at the studio. And then the day after that, I was on set filming. So it was a whirlwind. And I was obsessed with Criminal Minds as a kid. I mean, my like the OG Criminal Minds, and my friends and I would stay up way past our bedtime. Like this is like sleepover time, watching Criminal Minds and binging it. So I didn't even have like, yes, it was so exciting, but it was also such a whirlwind that it wasn't until after the fact that I was like, oh my God, I just shot on a show that I used to idolize my whole childhood. Like that is really cool. So and then also Kirsten, who plays Penelope on Criminal Minds, her and I knew each other from an acting class. And so that was really just an extra added fun bonus seeing her on set as well in the makeup trailer. And the whole thing was a wonderful experience. I will say, without like any super spoilers, even though episode one's been out for a while.
Yeah,
So
we're
people, I'm sorry. Yeah.
So, like, the final episode airs this week. So if it's been 10 weeks and you haven't seen the first one now, you know, catch up. It's fine.
That's on you. Yeah. But yeah, the scene that we shot was very physical and intense. And they made this room. I mean, it was all in a sound stage, but they made this room look terrifying. I mean, really terrifying because we're supposed to be kidnapped and in like, this basement type of place. And yeah, so that's nice as an actress because even though, yes, we all should have the ability at all times to, act at a level 10 with just a green screen, it really does help build out the world when it smells like a grungy place, when, everybody is doing such a good job to build out that environment. And it was, in fact, it was the guy who was playing opposite me who was kind of throwing me around. He was like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," because he thought I was actually crying from him hurting me. And I was like, "No, no, no, you're doing great. I'm acting." But yeah, that was a really fun experience. And then also for those of you who may not know, I got to play the younger version of Jeri Ryan, and she is an icon, Star Trek icon. And I didn't know that until the morning of shooting when I got the call sheet because they try to keep that, stuff a little bit under wraps. And that was, yeah, really neat too, just to be playing, with an icon.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. Very cool. Well, we have had Kirsten on our podcast before, so she's absolutely fantastic, and that's very cool that you guys met at a what did you say, an acting lesson that you had met?
An acting class, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That is really, really cool, and that you got to connect with her again. That's fantastic. But yeah, and meeting Jeri Ryan would have been fantastic if you hadn't mentioned it. I was going to mention that as well, so I'm so glad you did that. Yeah, Jeri Ryan, Star Trek, Voyager, other Star Trek shows, all the nerds. We all love her. She's fantastic, and that you got to play. I think you were playing the younger version of her, so you guys had to
Yes.
have the same. I think I saw a photo where there was a behind the scenes photo of you and her wearing the same outfit with the same like bloodied mess and everything, and you were playing
Yeah.
a version of her. It was fantastic. It looked very cool.
Yeah, that was really neat. And they were even the director and the writer, such a great call to put her as her adult, older version in the same wardrobe of her younger self going through it and then her being in that room. And I think they only in the edit ended up with like a split second where you may see us both in the same outfit at the same time. Because I mean, that's the name of the game too. We shot all day long, all day. And when you watch episode one, it is a snippet. It's a very important integral part of the story. But it was so technical when you're dealing with stunts and safety work. And yeah, we shot a lot of footage for what, ended up there. But it was really cool to also, yeah, have those behind the scenes footage of or photos of her and I in the same wardrobe.
Have you watched the full episode? Have you seen how they
Oh yeah.
it was incredible. Like honestly, it was
Yeah.
very clever, very well done. And yeah, you're right about having her in her old clothes, remembering back because your scene is happening as she's having the cognitive interview and she's remembering and thinking about what's happened, and you're the flashback to that, and then getting able to see her as herself in that moment, wearing the clothes that she wore when she was your age. It was very well done,
Yeah.
very clever, and yeah, how
Yeah, and pulling in the different senses, like the smell of his cigarettes, and just yeah, and how they kept bouncing back, and she'd be pulled into it so like aggressively and dramatically back into the past. She did a wonderful job.
you
That was
did a
great.
wonderful job too. It was fantastic, a joy to watch. Kept you on, on edge the whole time, and it looked very scary, very dark, very like straight into it. Episode 1 for the season sets the tone for the rest of the season, and yeah, to watch you guys and watch that episode, yeah, it was fantastic. It was brilliant.
I will say a little funny tidbit of what happened when we were filming. I have a flatter chest than Jeri does, and they were like, "Oh, we need to put some." I don't know if they call them this in Australia, but like chicken cutlets, they would call them. They're like little, yeah, you know, things to put in your bra to make it look bigger boobs. So they put those in my bra, and like I was saying, the scene is very physical. I'm being thrown down onto a mattress, and then when they call it cut, this sweet guy, a crew member, comes over and he's like, "Hey, I think this is yours." And I had to go, "Oh, thank you." Put it back because we're wearing those tank tops and just flew right out. It's like, oh, that is something I'll never forget.
Oh, that's brilliant. That is fantastic. Ah, excellent. Excellent. Oh, that's great. That's amazing. And see, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. It has been an absolute delight. We've had a lot of fun, a lot of tangents left, right, and center as we tend to do on this
Yes.
podcast. But before I let you go, final thing: if people want to follow you,
Mhm.
they want to find you on social
Mhm.
media, they want to connect with you and see what other projects you've got coming up. Where can they find you?
Yeah, it's just M.C.Huff. MC Huff is my handle, and you can find me there.
Beautiful. We'll put links in the description as well for you, so you can go follow her on Instagram and all the other socials where you can find her. Beautiful. Again, thank you so much for your time today. This has been so much fun.
This has been a blast. Thank you so much. And I'd love to connect again. And maybe next time I'm in Australia,
Oh,
we'll have to meet up.